built an island barely big enough for the quilt maker to stand on her tiptoes. Once again the king asked her for a quilt, and once again she said no.
Very well then, I'll leave you on this rock.
And the king left her alone on the tiny island. Shortly after he left, the quilt maker saw a sparrow flying over the great lake in the cold, fierce wind. It did not look like the poor bird would make it. The quilt maker called to her, and the bird stopped to rest down beside her. The poor tired sparrow was shivering, so the woman quickly made her a coat from scraps of her apron. When the bird was warm and the wind had stopped, the sparrow flew off, but she was very grateful to the quilt maker for what she had done. Soon the sky darkened and the air filled with a huge cloud of sparrows. Thousands of wings beating together swooped down, lifted the woman, and carried her safely to shore. And again that night, the king could not sleep for thinking about the woman alone on the island.
Oh my, what have I done?
He woke up his soldiers again, and they marched in pajamas down to the lake to set the woman free. But when they got there, she was sitting in a tree sewing coats for all the sparrows.
I give up. What must I do for you to give me a quilt?
As I said before, give away all your things and then I will make you a quilt.
I can't do that. I love all my wonderful, beautiful things.
But if they don't make you happy, what good are they?
That's true.
The king thought about what she had said for a long, long time, so long that weeks went by.
Oh, all right. If I must give away my treasures, then I must.
The king went back to his castle and searched from top to bottom for something he could bear to give away. Frowning, he finally came out with a single marble, but the boy who received it smiled brightly in return. The king looked back for more things.
Eventually, he brought out a pile of coats and went about the town, giving them to people dressed only in rags. All were so pleased that they marched up and down the street in a grand parade. Still, the king did not smile. The king brought out more things from his castle.
castle. The children cried with delight and danced around him, and just the smallest of smiles began to show on the king's face. The king looked about him and saw the dancing and merrymaking and all the happiness his gifts had brought. A child took hold of his hand and pulled him into the dance. Now the king really smiled and even laughed out loud.
Meanwhile, the Quilt Maker kept her word and started making a special quilt for the king. With each gift that he gave, she added another piece to his quilt.
So the king kept on giving and giving. When at last there was no one left who had not received something, the king decided to go out into the world to find others who might be in need of his gifts.
But before he left, the king promised the Quilt Maker he would send a sparrow back to her each and every time he gave something away.
Morning, noon, and night, the king's soldiers moved the king's wonderful things out of town. And for years and years, the messenger sparrows flew to the Quilt Maker's cabin as the king slowly diminished his collection, trading his treasures for smiles around the world.
Look at all the gifts given by the king. Celebrate, we shall dance and sing. Look at all the gifts given by the king. Celebrate, we shall dance and sing. Look at all the gifts given by the king. Celebrate, we shall dance and sing. Look at all the gifts given by the king. Celebrate, we shall dance and sing. Everywhere a gently soaring birds, everywhere a gently soaring birds.
Thank you.